Hey everyone, this is Money, and welcome to episode 53 of AI GTM Talks. We are happy to get back together with you all. We have another great episode lined up, and we kicked off the series of talks, as you know, well over a year ago. We bring on either AI GTM tech CEOs who go deep in one specific area within the go to market space. We also bring on revenue leaders from SMB to mid market companies, and then we've also been bringing on practitioners who are able to go deep in different areas within GTM, um, and we have them kind of explain what are some of the things that they're doing, tactics, if you will, or strategies that they're doing for their customers that really seems to be working well. So I want to welcome Iago Puente. I hope I'm saying your name right, Iago.
Yes, that's
thanks,
perfect.
thanks for joining us today. And I know that we met not too long ago at a dinner right here in the valley, and I'll tell you what got me intrigued was when I heard one of your customers who was sitting across dinner from me. He kind of opened up his phone, his phone, and he showed me his calendar, and it was all full of meetings that I believe you and your team have been at Troxy have been setting up for him. So I said, hey, why not have Iago come in? And you said, you're happy to share what you guys are doing, some interesting, cool stuff around the new AI-based, apps, tech tools, strategies, and tactics that seems to be working well. There's a lot of chatter out in the industry about why AI, Outbound is not working, but here's an example of where Outbound seemed to be working for this customer. So I figured, hey, let's have you come in and let's kind of learn what are some of the things that you guys might be doing that's different, right, from what so many other people are doing. So, but anyway, thanks for joining, Iago. And if you want to kick it off, tell us a little bit about yourself, Troxy, and so forth. Yeah, over to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you firstly for having me here and inviting me. It's actually quite funny how we met. You explained it quite well, but basically we were there on a growth initiative, on a go-to-market. So for GTC NVIDIA conference in SF, well, in
Yeah.
San Jose. And we organized this dinner. So Throxy and our client to get to know more people, grow our network, and also to eventually get some leads, right? And so in this effort, we did some outbound, and not only did we book a lot of meetings for the conference, as you saw, but also for the dinner. So it's quite one of the growth initiatives that we're doing within this whole go-to-market structure that we're building.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can introduce a bit more better Throxy, what we do.
Mhm. Mhm.
And yeah, so we're a YC-backed startup. We've been growing. We were there in spring 2025, so last year. And what we do is we book meetings with
Mhm.
your ICP, so qualified meetings with your ICP into your calendar. That's it.
Mhm. Got
So
it.
it's more of a service rather than a tool, which
Yeah.
most people in the outbound space try to build a lot of tools, and that also works. But we have opted for going the service way, and yeah, we tend to focus in traditional industries, so
Mhm.
manufacturing, logistics. Um, yeah, those are the main ones. But now we've also seen success with some other clients that are very heavy on AI, like the one that was at the dinner. So we're also diversifying, I think, in terms of our segmentation and who we target.
Mhm. Got it. So, I mean, everybody knows the usual approaches and tactics and the way people are trying to build call it a stack of tech and tools and some data and this and that. So, in a nutshell, what are you guys doing that seems to be working for you? What's different about it?
Mhm. Yeah. So I think initially when we started as a tool, and it did work for some of the clients. The main issue that we saw is that even though our clients knew very well who they wanted to target, they didn't know how to use a tool. And most importantly, they didn't know how to reach out to them. They didn't have the expertise to do this. And so when we pivoted from that shift of tool to, let's say, a service, we started to integrate our own tools, right, to vertically specialize. And we'll go over some of the tools that we use, how we've integrated with them, And the whole product that we've built for internal use, so Throxy, it's an actual product, it's a platform with a lot of different use cases. But how we've built this, surprisingly, for internal use, for our customer success managers, product people, growth, so for all the different departments. I think the key there was generally doing it in house and providing outcomes. So instead of
Mm-hmm.
selling, let's say, a certain software, selling the outcomes, because most of our clients, what they really care about is outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
And so that also reflects into our pricing structure and so on, which our clients are quite happy with because of it, because they that generally tend to prioritize outcomes over a certain promise.
No, no. So look, I think everybody wants outcomes, right? I mean, everybody's trying to get to an outcome-based model. So yeah, let's get a little deeper. I can, a lot of people watching, I'll be honest with you, they want to see stuff, right? They want to see a little bit of kind of behind the curtain. So, we call this an AI outbound teardown and demo. So I'm hoping you wouldn't mind kind of sharing a little bit about, okay, here are some of the, here are some of the, here's some of the ways we are kind of getting to that outcome, right? For at the end of the day, people want to get to a meeting. They have, as you said, some notion of an ICP, some key buyers, some personas they want to go after. Yeah. So if you wouldn't mind kind of getting into that a little bit, and then
Mhm.
also curious about the way you are, as you said, pricing for outcomes. That'd be also an interesting topic, I'm sure, for people listening.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'll go with a demo, but before going to that and getting everyone excited about it, I think we can touch base on the second question, which is regarding pricing. So
Sure.
right now, what we do is a hybrid approach, meaning
Hmm.
we charge a fee, a retainer per month, to cover the infrastructure costs that come associated with it. So for
Hmm.
sending emails and so on, also for calling, there's basic infrastructure costs, and then on top of that, we have a paper meeting, right, which is what the whole outcome-based approach relies on. So we try to
Got
keep
it.
the retainer as low as possible to then
Mm-hmm.
have a double upside, right? From our side, we get paid if we perform, and the clients are also much happier to pay a higher pay per meeting if they also have upside on it. We focus on, I mean, all of our clients can reject meetings, right? And I think that's the key, because some other agencies that we know of sell you meetings, but then you need to accept it no matter what. In our case, it's very consultative approach where they tell us what type of companies they want. So
Hmm.
the real segmentation in terms of employee size, funding, geographies, sectors, sub industries. So all these different parameters and more. And that's where also signals comes into play, right? Which is very important. And then apart from the accounts, we also have the people, right? And we do the exact same. So what positions do they hold in what departments? What kind of decision making does it involve? What geographies are they based in? So all these different attributes and as well as signals, right, come into play, and that's how we really define segmentation.
Hmm.
Based on that, even if we've segmented properly, our client might not necessarily want a meeting because it's far off of what they want, because maybe they've changed opinion or something else. And so in those cases, the client is always right. So we don't book the meeting and we keep on iterating with that feedback.
Got it.
So that's just a
So,
brief.
no, go ahead. Finish up. Sorry.
No, that's just a brief overview, I think, on how we break down segment. I can show now the tool of how this approach breaks down into accounts and people, and how we also run our AI agents to do this. But yeah, I think that's the main positioning.
Got it. So, can you mentioned your clients in very kind of broad terms. How many customers have you worked with over the course of the last 6 to 12 months? And what is the, again, profile, SMB, mid market, enterprise? How do they kind of fall in that spectrum?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now we have around 40 clients as of right now,
Hmm.
currently,
Hmm.
and some of them are SMBs, We've had also some startups, and we also have some enterprises, including Fortune 500 as well. So it's very varied. When we started, we obviously targeted startups because it was the easiest target. But now that we've grown, we are quite open. We still work with startups. We this week we're onboarding a few, so it's pretty much flexible. Why? Because they all need deal flow, and
Yeah.
even though they have different needs, as I say, we're really being able to deliver for all types of clients, no
Got
matter
it.
their size. So in that point, we're quite open. In terms of historically, how many clients we've worked with, I would say over 100, probably over 150. The reason why is because when we first started, we were iterating with quite a few clients, and with some of them we would part ways, either because they weren't happy or we weren't getting the results right. If we don't book our clients' meetings, then it doesn't really make sense for us either to work with them because there's no upside. So it was a very iterative process, but now we've managed to figure out which clients we work with well, and we're doubling down on that.
Got it. Got it. So what is the profile of some of your, call it, best fit clients? Where are you finding you're able to
Absolutely.
deliver?
So if I had to say it in one sentence, I would say SMBs that
Mm,
sell into traditional industries, but that
mm,
sell software. That's in
mm,
one in sentence. So they sell specific software for, let's say,
mm,
traditional industry could be, for instance, manufacturing. So a client that comes to my head right now, they sell a software for CNC manufacturing. So for companies that
mm,
manufacture machinery, they sell a specific software that
mm,
helps check the temperatures of the machines. So like in terms of things.
mm.
And then sync it back to their local systems. So that's
Got
quite
it.
a niche, which they struggle to find new leads,
Mm,
and that's what we started with. So we were very helping companies that sold into niche,
mm,
because they would struggle to find them, whilst we were capable of finding them with our database that we have in terms of accounts and people. What we
mm,
see now is that even for companies that, for instance, sell software into um, imagery, which is completely
mm,
off, right, of manufacturing, we're providing great. We have a case study with Exactly AI. They do um, fine-tuned models for brand consistent imagery. And so they work with
mm,
B2B platforms, they integrate with them, and they provide the best, most brand consistent images, even more than Nano Banana Pro or these kind of models.
mm,
Another client that we've worked with, like for instance, in the healthcare sector. So they're
mm,
producing a specific software that helps book with dentistries, so with dentistry appointments. So what we see is mostly software companies that
mhm.
sell into some industry. As I say, we started very niche, very narrow, and now we've broadened and made it bigger because we've realized we can generate value for a lot of different clients.
Got it. Yeah. So why don't you, yeah, walk us through your
Mhm.
approach in terms of a new customer comes in, you want to get them going, get them ramped up. Talk about the process of how you engage with a new customer, and yeah, behind the scenes, if you whatever you're able to share on, uh, yeah, what is the tech tools? What is it that gives you the edge, right, in actually getting them the outcomes? I'm sure that's what people
Absolutely.
are curious about. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it all starts by doing a really good onboarding. What I mean by
Okay.
that is when we first decide to work with a client, we have this onboarding form, which is very complete. What I mean complete is it doesn't take you 10 minutes to fill out. Probably takes you an hour or half an hour easily.
Mm,
The reason why it's because we ask for a lot of information. It goes very much
yeah.
in depth. And the reason why we do this is because we genuinely want to have as much context and information as possible from the start.
Right.
Um, yeah, and so I think that really much lays the foundations for starting a good campaign because we're doing the go-to-market for you, right? We're booking you meetings, we're hoping you grow, and if we don't have the correct context on what you need, it's very hard. So we start with that, this onboarding form that's quite extensive. The client fills it out. And as soon as we have that, we have some small iterations with the client. Some of them we have weekly calls. It really depends on the client preference. But what we see is that onboarding form where we capture all the information. What this is the information is, if I had to break it down, it would be very much ICP. So breaking
Yeah.
the type of accounts they focus, the type of people they focus on, what kind of messaging has worked for them in the past, have they
Mm.
tried, um, and yeah, what kind of conferences, what kind of events they tend to organize or attend. So
Yeah.
breaking all of this down for us makes much more digestible and be able to like, yeah, target the right people fast. Because if not, what tend to happen a while back, let's say 9 months ago, where we weren't performing as well, is because we wouldn't get that much context on the company, and we would have to learn this over time with calls
Hmm.
with the client, asking them questions, doing a lot of research. So by doing this properly, now we're able to book meetings for our clients even on the first week or even the first few days. We've had a
Mm.
case where in less than 24 hours, we booked the first meeting for a client.
Got it. Yeah. Now, yeah. Please go on. Then maybe you can elaborate on the channels and tactics, and right. What exactly do you tend to do as you get ramped up with these customers? And let's say you've done your intake. Let's say you've got all the information and the data that you want from the client. What happens next?
Mhm. Absolutely. So once we have that and we have all that information, um, we can basically we start doing the outbound. So we have different types of techniques for doing outbound, right? Um,
Hmm.
One of them would be the one we started with, which is very much focused on email.
Okay.
Actually, if you want, I can quickly share the onboarding form,
Yeah.
and I think that
Sure.
could be helpful.
Yeah.
So here I'm sharing my screen just briefly. So a few of the
Hmm.
things we have is like the company, right? What targeting they
Okay.
use, the ground truth, the different personas they have,
Yeah.
people that we don't want us to like, we shouldn't contact you, what messaging
Yeah.
works for them, their calendar,
Yeah.
emails that they've used in the past, collateral resources, and the goals. So it's pretty
Hmm.
much really broken down into the different parts that I just mentioned.
Yeah.
And that's just the best way it works. So yeah, that
So
is the
this
best.
this is an internal app or tool that you have that you make it available to your clients. Is that right?
Correct. So
Got it.
one of the things that has really worked for us is building our own tools internally. We still, don't get
Mm.
me wrong, we still use a lot of tools external, and we do partnerships and we integrate and everything. But for things where it has a high strategic value to us,
Yeah.
meaning we really need to customize it, we're going to use it a lot over time. We
Yeah.
need it in specific ways, a lot of them being API friendly. All of these things we tend to build it in house. We start using
Got it.
maybe some software. With, for instance, onboarding, we used Google Forms initially, right?
Mm.
We would have then an Excel which would feed from this Google Forms, but
Mm.
it was very hard. Customers didn't like filling it out, right? Because the UI was the classic Google Forms. So we
Mm.
built this, and it just works wonders. Clients also see it more premium.
Mm.
We can change it as we wish. All the
Mm.
integrations with the different tools, so the information that we retrieve, how it goes, um, and we see this across the board. We're also doing it for HR. So, for instance, for holiday trackers, we
Mm.
built our own holiday tracker instead of using Deal or some other providers. But yeah, but going back to your question, how we do outbound after setting up the onboarding, we start with so
Got
we
it.
started initially with email, and now we're doing a lot of calling as well. So these are the
Mm.
main two ways of booking meetings. Apart from that, we
I
also
see.
do LinkedIn outreach. We also do conferences, right? Like the one we did for our client during GTC
Mm.
NVIDIA.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so those are the main four, but the calling and email are the ones that yield the best results. And so that's where we double down. Calling, most of the people ask us, hey, are you using AI agents? Are you using 11 Labs? How are you doing this?
mm,
And I think this is
mhm,
where the most surprising part comes of Throxy. And also one of the reasons why we're succeeding is because we've decided to do what most people would think is contrary to our mantra, right? We're AI first. We absolutely use AI for everything, but precisely for calling, we have actual humans calling. So
mm,
people in Throxy picking up the phone and calling people um, that are actual humans. So everything around it, all the processes, the list building, the calling, the dialer, everything is automated.
mm.
But the actual call is not. And why
Okay.
that works, there's a few reasons. If I had to boil it down to two, it would be number one, AI is still not good enough to do sales outbound. So
Mm,
it can do inbound very well, right? We've seen it with Happy Robot, for instance. We've seen it with logistic companies, customer support. It's great for inbound. And
mm,
for all these different industries where it's more about the person wants something from you, it's quite easy. But for sales,
mm,
where you want something from the other person and you also require more emotional intelligence, combined
mm,
with also being outbound, where you're the one calling. Those
mm,
two are honestly a killer. I haven't seen any tool in the world being able to do this. And one of the
mm,
reasons why, and this brings to my second reason, and this might not exist, it's because it's illegal. In the
mm,
US, in Europe, most countries, you cannot robocall. And
mm.
so those two combined make it also a hard combo to do it yourself like that. So that's why we opted for this route. And as I say, it's working quite well.
Got it. Got it. What about okay, so interesting for you, email and calling are the two primary channels that seems to be working for the kind of clients you talked about. And then the uh, in terms of and you said you're using AI and AI tech and tool for a lot of the automation of a lot of the other steps in the process, right? Building the ICP, building the target list, building campaigns. Um, what about the messaging around the emails? Do you have anything you guys are doing that's again, what's your process for trying
Mhm.
different kinds of messaging, testing different kinds of messaging? What do you all do there?
Absolutely. So in terms of messaging for email, what we do is we started using frameworks, so static frameworks, meaning you write a text, an email, a body with
Mm,
a subject and body. You maybe write a few sequences because you want to iterate, right? You don't want to do one per person. And then we would do outreach. That worked well, but it was more about the targeting. What we've seen is targeting is really what matters. The messaging per se is also helpful, but so yeah, so we focused on targeting, and now we've recently introduced AI into it, where based on the person that we're actually targeting, so their LinkedIn information about their job title, their company, all of that, we take it into consideration when using AI, and then we tailor each email to the person that we're targeting.
mm,
And that is a game changer. Previously, we
mm,
were very much using the same framework for everyone, obviously having variables, let's say uh, first name, last name, company, maybe USP. So a couple different dynamic variables which would adapt to each person. But now using AI, we've seen an uptick. And so, yeah, I think what really matters and where AI comes most into play is firstly building lists. So in the segmentation and the targeting, running our AI agents on the both on the companies as well as on the people lists. That's where it really makes a difference. And then obviously internally. So that means for any processes we're running, let's say even if we're having a meeting, right, note taker, having integrations with our CRM, which is Atio, and then having integrations with Slack. So all these different, let's say, connectors, and having people in the company that are very AI savvy that always try to cut corners by using AI and not necessarily do the manual work themselves.
mm.
That's, I think, the biggest difference for AI. And I can show now my screen in terms of a couple of the tools that we use, I think could be helpful for other people.
Sure. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah.
Okay, amazing. So here, I mean, here it's like a bit of prompting. I think we're not going to make this about prompting because we could go spend a lot of time, but just using detailed prompting is it makes a huge difference instead of just a lazy prompt. I can zoom in a bit more. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it does make a difference giving it context on what it needs to build. And for what we've seen internally very helpful to do this is actually using uh, AI tools, voice tools. Whisperflow is quite famous. Willow is great. It's YC as well. We tend to use Willow more, but Whisperflow, Aqua Voice are some of the tools that are really helpful because then you can deeply express your mind to prompt, and then you can
Mm,
build. So what I sometimes do is speak my mind to then build a prompt for Claude Code. So instead of just
mm,
dumping whatever and writing fast, I actually use an AI to build my extensive prompt to build a very
mm.
big project. So I think that's quite helpful.
Yeah. Okay.
It sounds a bit counterintuitive, but yeah. And then obviously using the different models, we tend to focus on Claude because it's the one that's proven to be best for us.
Mm,
Also use some of OpenAI.
mm,
So yeah, but if I'm being honest, most of it is Claude. We use also different projects, right, for clients to have that
mhm.
context stored let's say in a small block box, be able to retrieve it, be able to improve it over time with our meetings. So there's a lot of the different parts. Claude
And
Code,
and
I mean,
and are you sorry? Are you guys using the Teams version so that you have multiple people all sharing a project and doing Claude for Teams?
correct. Yes. So we have
Yeah.
a Throxy team where everyone has access to different projects. Projects tend to be mostly around clients.
Mm,
But yeah, now that we've been using that for, I think now almost like half a year, but now we're already switching to a bit of a different approach where we're building our own folders, let's say in Throxy.
mm,
And so building that context to be able to retrieve the APIs for Code projects and tasks. So yeah, I think what's most important is having those contexts that you can retrieve at any time and then keep getting improved over time.
yeah.
Uh,
Right.
that is definitely the most useful part of us because being such a small company, you tend to work on many different things with other people. And so
Mm,
if you're not storing that information, then there's asymmetric information and you don't win over time.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, here we have some videos as well. I can share them later, but pretty much it boils down to those two. And if you want, now I can share a bit of my screen as well in terms of our own Throxy platform. As I
Hmm.
say, it's for internal use, right? So it's not anything fancy or beautiful because the users or the are internal. So here
Hmm.
you have a bit of an idea of how we build account lists. So you can see there's different accounts, and then within each one, for instance, let's take this one here, um, or we have then companies based in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And so we have the different companies with the domain, the LinkedIn, industries, employees, headquarters. You can add more columns, right? With AI agents, you can then build them yourself. So there's a lot of, or you can also do formulas like if it were an Excel. So it's very
Mm.
much like intuitive. You can change things, right? You can go on to
So
different.
this is kind of a sound like it's an alternative to Clay, right? You have a very simple internal tool, similar to Clay. Is that fair?
I mean, the UI looks similar. I agree with you. Where we're different is we have a whole part of it which is more regarding the service, which would be calling, frameworks, and then different parts of it, and building personas as well. So those things you
Yeah.
don't have in Clay. In Clay, it's mostly focused around building people and account
Mm.
lists, which I agree with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but as I say, no client has access to this tool. The reason being is
Right.
because we don't want it. We don't see the value in it. We tried in the past, and we most of our clients were actually using it, but then we realized why would you? let your customers use the tool if they don't necessarily know how to use it and they're not going to get the right outputs from it. Outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's better to just use it yourself and provide that service.
Got it. So let's talk about signals, right? There's a lot of talk in the industry about buying signals, person level, company level. And look, I mean, full disclosure, we do some of that too, right?
Yeah.
We have our own tech that brings together Signals Hub. We funnel our signals to, folks who are trying to do better prioritization of the right companies, the right contacts to go after, build those into segments, and then push it out right into sequences, and then do the calling into those accounts. Um, Curious about how much you guys are using signals today versus is that an area you guys are thinking, hey, maybe we should be exploring some more signal-based tech to build into some of our strategies.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for instance, something we started using is we started with Throxy, and now we're looking to expanding into also other clients. Is those website visitors, right? People that visit your own website or
Yep.
that go to your LinkedIn posts, that interact with your LinkedIn posts, people that are following you on LinkedIn. So those are all different types of signals that we're not necessarily, but not that many people are using, and that are high intent. Because if someone visits your website, the chance they're actually interested is very high. If not, they wouldn't have gone to your
Yeah.
website. Maybe they're a
Mhm.
curious person, yes, but most of the time it tends to be someone that has high intent, and it's much better to do that targeting to that person instead of just spray and pray, right? Where you contact everyone without necessarily having that signal. So we absolutely think it's a game changer. We're doing, as I say, for Throxy, which is great. That brings me a bit to the topic of dog fooding. So how we do our own outbound, how we get customers for ourselves. We can talk about that as well. But I think the part of signals is very important, especially when you're trying to land good clients without necessarily doing mass outreach. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, it's definitely something we're integrating, and I think it is a key to it.
Yeah, yeah, because there's more and more interesting signals now, right? That were not available even 6 months ago. Company level signals, people are scraping all kinds of news sources and SEC filings and other things to find new projects, new initiatives, new things happening out there, um, to kind of build a more better targeted list. So it's back to, as you said, the improving the targeting, right? Every day, every week, for outbound teams.
Yes, 100%. I think that the hardest challenge there in terms of signal is
Yeah.
being able to do this at scale for
Okay.
different type of clients. Because what we see is we set up the signals for Throxy, which is really good, and we're going to do it for other clients in terms of website visitors or LinkedIn followers or interactions to posts in LinkedIn. But some of these or some other ideas of signals we've tried, we haven't been able to scale it as easily as other approaches. But the ROI is definitely there. So I think the hard part is being able to scale that, and it's a work in progress from our side.
Got it. Got it. Fair enough. So the I think talk about the typical client. I mean, how long does it take? I think you mentioned the what is your engagement on an ongoing basis? Do you guys do like a weekly sync up? It's a weekly cadence to see where you are with the customer and what are the things they care about. What are you
Yeah,
finding that's important to them? Yeah.
absolutely. Maybe in terms of contract, how long we plan to work with our clients.
Mm.
Most of our clients we sign on contracts of 3 or 6 months upfront,
Yeah.
uh, depending on the client, how much their contract value is, how much they want to test things out, and so on. We also have yearly contracts with other clients. But regardless of this, how often do we meet with a client? Or how often do we interact? So we set up Slack channels with all of our clients. We're available all the time for any kind of issues, requests they have. It's not that common now to get. We're not we used to be. Now, as we've managed to scale better, it's very much proactive where we share resources, information, weekly reports. even daily updates on meetings booked. So it's very much proactive from our side as a way to communicate to them and then to be able to digest it. So with our clients, it depends on them. A few of them want at the start, especially, to have constant interaction. So we set up weekly calls. If someone wants to meet even more often, we adapt, especially at the very start where I think it's more needed. Once we have the context, which I think the onboarding form helps us out a lot, from then on, it's really what the client wants. So some of the clients prefer to be very low touch, where they don't have to do anything, right? And they just get meetings booked to their calendar. They pay for it, they're happy, they give us feedback, obviously, but it's not through Slack, it's not through a call, it's through our platform, right? So they give us feedback. They say, okay, I had this meeting. The account fit was 4 stars out of 5. The persona fit was 5 stars out of 5. We're moving forward with them to a second call. So for each meeting, we get that feedback already. So we don't necessarily need to call with them or Slack with them. So yeah, we still, most of our clients, we offer everything. It's just as soon as we become quite successful, with some of them, it becomes a bit more low touch. So it really
Got it.
depends.
So look, I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you, Iago. With a lot of these kind of outbound service offerings out there, customers are walk in very skeptical, right? I mean, there's so many of them out there. They're all kind of saying, "I can help you. I can help you. I can get you meetings. Get you meetings." Question is, how if you put yourself in the customer's shoes, how should they be making their decision, right? Meaning, who do they trust? And in your case, what are you finding is working in terms of why does somebody trust you? Why does somebody decide to do business with you? Right? It's an important question. I'm just curious about what's the real answer here. How can anybody out there who's being bombarded by 20 companies that say they can help get them meetings, and they're all saying, I'll keep your retainer low, and I'll do a hybrid model, I'll take cost per meeting. How should they go about figuring out who to work with?
Yeah. I think that the hardest part of this is most of the companies that do this type of service or a tool, they're it's a go to market, right? So they're very good at selling themselves. So if you
Yeah,
ask them,
yeah,
they're obviously going to say we're the best, we're great. Like, so I think that's a bit the challenge and why it's hard to discern. Um,
yeah.
so from my perspective, the best indicator of success is success that has happened with other people, right?
Mhm,
So case studies, for instance, I think is a really helpful one, with data, right? Not just,
mhm,
oh yeah, we had a partnership, they were great. When you see case studies, you see the data, you get to understand a bit better what, for instance, Troxy is capable of offering.
mhm,
And I think that makes a huge difference. Was just saying we are able of providing this. If you just give a
yeah,
list of things that we can do for you,
mm,
it's hard to believe. What are you basing it on? Experience with other clients?
yeah,
Tell me what you've done for other clients, and then I'll be able to make the decision myself, right? Maybe that client is super different to me. So I think when you have a good range of case studies for clients in different industries, then you can relate much more and you can make a good decision. For us specifically, we dog food a lot. So one of the ways we acquire customers is by doing our own outbound for ourselves. So
mhm,
it's quite funny when you book them as a client using your own service, right? That means it
mhm.
works. So
Got it.
we've done that, for instance, for conferences, and for even our customers. We call them, we cold call them. We're like, hey, do you actually want more meetings? We're doing it like this way. So
Mm.
I think that's a
Got
really
it.
good way, and they end up trusting.
Got it. No, listen, I agree. I mean, look, this is not unique to you guys. I think in general, with so much new tech flooding the market, new service offerings that are AI driven service offerings flooding the market, customers are all confused about who should they work with, how should they go about evaluating, assessing, right, who to partner with. And a lot of it comes down to developing a little bit more trust and also have other customers be willing to talk to them, or they hear about us through peer networks and communities and you know public forums,
Yeah.
and then you'll be able to hear us out, right? So that's why I think live events are back, and people are going to more and more to live event settings to actually meet people, where you can build a little more one-to-one personal connection, and people know you are real. You're not AI generated. You're not
Exactly.
you're not yourself. The human thing is becoming even more important in terms of
Yeah.
people knowing who to work with, who to trust. um,
Yeah. I
Fair
mean,
enough. So
TLDR,
so go ahead.
just
Yeah.
to comment on that, I think doing it also across so many channels, like doing podcasts as well, going to conferences, doing the outbound yourself. So having LinkedIn, all these different type of go-to-market arms, it enables you to reach much more. And when you see a name in different places, that's when you also start to think, oh, they might actually be good. You do a bit of
Yeah.
research, you see the case studies, you see the success, and then you're
Hmm.
like, okay, maybe I'll give it a try. But yeah,
Got it. Got it. Yeah. So I mean, even for us, right? I mean, a lot of our opportunities are popping up because people have gotten to know us over time. So there's a long game of call it trust building, right? That
yeah,
all of us need to do. So, but there's no shortcut around that. All right. So I think we have a couple of minutes. We should probably a few more minutes, 2 3 minutes. We can wrap it up. Any key takeaways as you look ahead to the next 6, 12, 24 months in terms of outbound, and how do you guys see things changing? You've kind of explained to us targeting is important. Email, phone calls are the primary channels for you guys. You're trying to use more signal based, which is fine, makes sense. But what do you see? How's the world going to change from your perspective for AI outbound service companies, service offerings, just looking ahead?
yeah. So I think, as you said, there's more and more players in the market doing what we do or trying to do something similar.
Right.
And so with time, mailboxes are getting more flooded. There's more
Mm,
spam filtering. Same
mhm,
with calling. Same with all these channels, right? Where there's more security because there's more outreach through those ways.
mm,
And so I think that the way you overcome that over time is by really narrowing the targeting and the list. For me,
mhm,
that's the key. I think in terms of messaging, there are improvements, but they're marginal improvements. I think
mm,
list building is super important. Why? Because there's billions of people in the world, right? And
mm,
if you really manage to build good lists where the person that you're targeting is relevant and
mm,
might be interested, that's already a massive win. I think
mm.
even with tools like Clay or Apollo, any of these tools, if you build a list giving all the context, you're still not able to build let's say, an exhaustive list where you have all relevant people and the amount of people you want. Because if you're knocking on the right doors, you will end up getting those meetings. Whilst if you're just knocking on a lot of different doors, you won't. So for me,
Got
that's the
it.
key. And how you do that is by having a great database,
Mm,
meaning having access to a lot of records of people and accounts. And
mm.
then, most importantly, and the hardest part, being able to filter through it with AI agents um, in a way that it works properly.
Right, and then the signals come in for the timing aspect. Are they in
Correct.
market right now? Right. So the
So,
high quality data, the source data is important. Combine that with the right signals, high quality signals at the right time, and then suddenly you got the ingredients for that targeted narrow list that you're talking about. Okay, so that's
right.
a good way, I think, to sum it up, Iago, in terms of. So let me put the final slide up, and maybe you can talk about how can people get in touch with you. As we wrap up here. So go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as I say, we're keen on working with more clients, helping you get
Sure.
leads, qualified leads booked in your calendar. So you can
Hmm.
reach at me anytime. My email is right there, LinkedIn as well. And there's
Yep.
also a link on my LinkedIn to be able to book a call with me. So I
Mhm.
can then understand your business well and be able to give you estimates of how much we can help you and if a
Got it.
partnership would even make sense.
Got it. All right. Thank you. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you,
That
Manny.
concludes episode 53 of AI GTM Talks. Thanks, everyone.